All right, everybody, we're going to get started. Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to welcome you to the February 8th, 2025 Columbus, Ohio chapter meeting for the American Council of the Blind of Ohio. I am the president, Janae Miller. I first want to give the recording disclaimer that this meeting is being recorded. Anything that you say or do will end up in the public domain because we do have a YouTube channel that we do post our meetings on so that the public can hear what this chapter is doing in and out of the community. Oh, yeah, I am. Do we turn it up? Hold on 1 second. Okay, is that better? Okay, good. Okay, well, again, welcome everybody. Again, I gave the disclaimer that this meeting is being recorded, just so you all know. Welcome, you guys. I'm gonna say Happy New Year because I haven't seen you guys this year. Thank you guys for your thoughts and concerns regarding the loss of my uncle, and I'll try not to cry. He died 2 days after Christmas, unexpectedly. He was a Baptist preacher here in the city, had been a pastor for over 35 years. They did an article about him in the Columbus Dispatch around January 8th, January 7th newspaper. He was very much a community leader, did a lot of social justice work here in the city to try to make sure that there was, better communication between the community and the police and other community-related issues, whether it's education, neighborhoods, anything racial justice related. But he was very, very much an activist here in the city, and it's a great loss to my family. So thank you guys for your condolences and everything. Next, I would like to do the attendance. So can we hear who's on Zoom first, please?
Monica, do you want me to do that or do you want to do it?
I don't know. I can't see who's on Zoom. So
No, I was asking Monica,
oh,
and she's muted right now, so I can go ahead and read who's on
thank you, Katie. Thank you so
on
much.
Zoom.
Sorry,
Sure.
Katie. I
Oh, you're
muted
fine.
because I'm on a clacky keyboard.
Okay. Do you want to go through the list?
Oh,
Or do you
okay.
want me to do that?
I didn't know that's what I needed to do. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
No,
Monica,
you're fine.
it's fine. It's okay.
Okay. Well, I'm at the top of the list just because I'm a co-host. I'm Monica Williard. Um, and then Katie Frederick is with us. Michelle Spillan is with us. Kathy Whitman. And what looks like an email address. I'm really not sure what that says. I'm so sorry. Claire
Tanya.
Saunders.
Tanya is here, Janae. And then Tanya, I forget your last name. I'm sorry.
Walker.
I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
And then Dustin is with us as well.
That's who's all in Zoom.
Yes.
Yes.
Is there?
Yep.
Dustin's here. Okay, good. Let me interject before we go to who's in the room. Monica has agreed to help us out with Zoom because Sean is, I think, moving today. So we want to thank Monica for her willingness to help, and Katie is also assisting Monica with running the Zoom portion of the meeting. So thank you again, Monica, for helping. And now can we hear who's attending today in the room?
Lee Tucker.
Ed Snively. Mike Russell.
Juanita Meyer.
Angela Brown.
Dave Brennan.
Brand new member.
Yes. Welcome, Dave.
Rachel Fetzko. Julie Russell. Gail Baldwin.
John Hill.
Mary Carabinas.
Mary Lynn Pifo.
Margo Muse.
Dan Kelley.
Dan, who's our speaker today.
Perry Ling.
Another brand new member.
Yes. Welcome.
And our president is also here.
I'm here, Janae Miller, president. Oh, Erwin. How do we miss Erwin?
Yep. Thanks, Erwin Hott.
How do we miss that one? Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope everybody got a chance to read the meeting minutes from last month's meeting. Are there any edits, corrections, suggestions? Well, not suggestions, edits and corrections to the meeting minutes for the January meeting? And thank you, Mary, for hosting or running and facilitating that meeting. Mary Carabinas, thank you so much. I heard. Thank you. And so any edits or corrections to the meeting minutes? Hearing none, would someone like to make a motion regarding the meeting minutes?
So moved, Erwin.
Erwin moves to accept the minutes. And who was second?
And who seconded it? Erwin's making a motion to accept the meeting as is.
Julie Russell.
And Julie Russell is seconding. So Erwin has made a motion to accept the meeting minutes as they are, and Julie Russell has seconded the motion to accept the meeting minutes as they are. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion has carried and passed. Thank you so much. Now we will move on to the wonderful treasurer's report.
Well, I wouldn't qualify it like that, but okay.
It is wonderful.
The Columbus chapter financial report for the period ending yesterday, February 7th, or the period January 1st, January 11th, 2025 to February 7th, 2025. Checking ending balance is $8,720.18, a decrease of $1,674.13. Deposits dues for 2025 were $139.30. Dues paid to ACB Ohio were $50. The AT&T phone line $16.11, and the Huntington charge card payment came through for the Christmas dinner, and that's $1,746.82. And since we'd already prepaid $1,000, that was on a previous financial statement. So that Christmas dinner cost around $2,700, $2,800. And a Zelle fee was also charged of 50 cents. We have a balance of outstanding checks hanging out there for $118.60. And I'm about to send out hit squads on those checks to find out, see if they're actually going to do something with them. Anyway. A charge card, the ending balance was $83.35, which is made up of stamps and envelopes, and a new charge for a service I have to use for a 1099 NEC for $5.35 to have them file it instead of me trying to figure out how to file the red copy and sending it to God knows where. Then the payment, of course, was made on a charge card of $1,746.82. People helping people, the ending balance was $2,464.19. Last month, there was a typo because I wrote it down as $2,454.19. So no change in the balance because we have an outstanding check also uncashed for $106.43. Savings account, the ending balance of $500.53, no change. The CD, the $10,000 CD maturing in July has unpaid interest of $75.89. The Columbus Foundation account, the estimated market value of that as of yesterday was $95,959.25, which is a loss from December 31st of $860.57. And soon we will be finding out what the grant will be given is, and we'll be able to estimate better for the budget. Last year, our total income deposited from the Columbus Foundation on our checking account was $6,952.41. And the payout for the engagement benefit is none this year. Last year, the payout was $1,190. And there are no notes to this financial statement.
Are there any questions for Mr. Tucker? No questions from Mr. Tucker? Mary Lynn moves that we accept the treasurer's report. Is there a second? Mike Russell is seconds. All in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? I didn't even do that the last time. Lord have mercy. Anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, the motion has passed and carried. Thank you so much, Mr. Tucker.
Thank you.
I asked if anybody had any questions. I did. I said, anybody have any questions for him regarding his report? Okay, so
Good point.
questions,
Thanks,
so
Chief.
questions
Thank you.
and comments is what you're saying? All right. Next on the agenda is committee reports. Do we have any committee reports from either Sunshine or PHP?
I have a Sunshine report. This is Kathy Withman.
Go ahead, Kathy.
All right. Mary Highland spoke with Melody Holloway several times recently, and Melody was in the hospital, Grant Medical Center, for several days. And I believe she has been released, even though she has some serious issues still remaining. But Mary said that what Melody had requested was some phone calls. So that would be nice if someone would like to contact Melody. And that's it.
Okay. If I can add to your report, I spoke with Vicki Prahan earlier this week, and she is at home, and she's going to be going through some more treatments for her cancer. So she will be still missing in action, she said, till maybe about April. But she, it's still here, and she's still forging on. So I did speak to Vicki, so I wanted to add to that. Thank you. Oh, and Patrick Simmons is under the weather. He was supposed to be our speaker today, but because of that, he is not. And so I've asked Mr. Dan Kelley to speak when we're done with the business today, and share some wonderful, good stuff. So Patrick Simmons is also under the weather. So that's also part of the Sunshine Committee. Is there any news from?
Question does, what about Sandy Mullet? How is she doing? Does anyone know?
Anyone know about Sandy? So those two names is Sandy Mullet and who else you said, Mary?
Eddie Lee Barnett. I haven't been able to talk to him.
Okay. So Eddie Lee Barnett and Sandy Mullet are the two other people? Okay.
Yeah. Sandy's last I knew wasn't doing well.
Okay.
So I will contact her.
Okay. And you'll have an update for us soon once you're able to reach her. Okay. I was asking Mary, she'll have an update soon. And there's and Gail. Okay.
That was a yes.
Okay. All right. Is there any news from the People Helping People?
Don't see Denise, and I also don't know of anything new other than I've got to go find somebody to make sure they cash that check. So,
Well, I will report there was a doctor, I can't remember exactly right now where he's from, but he reached out and asked about grant information. So I sent him information about PHP and about Ohio's matching grant. So a doctor reached out because I guess he has some patients who are visually impaired and they're looking for help with getting things such as magnifiers and other maybe equipment for them as their vision starts to change. So that's the only thing I have that could add to PHP. So I sent out information regarding that to him. Is there anything from the Finance Committee?
well, we did have a meeting. Get away from the other speaker. We had a meeting of all of two people who were there, and Tanya Walker was talked for a good long time about a wonderful, what I think will be a wonderful participatory project and possibly recruitment tool for the chapter at some point. It's a long-term project, but Tanya, if you want to jump
Yeah,
in here.
Tanya, why
there.
don't you share what you share with Lee so we can all hear? Because I heard it was a really good idea, so I'm excited.
Hello, Ohioans in the Columbus region. I presented to Lee, and I mentioned before, the creative vision sculpture concept. It comes from some of my studies at Michigan State at the Kresge Art College. And since my vision has, changed so significantly over the years since art college in 1979, the wonderful Michigan State Art College had a resource center for people with disabilities that sent me to an eye doctor who gave me 3 sets of lenses to continue to call sculpture. So I submitted to the Ohio Arts Council. I've submitted to Arts Possible Ohio a few of my unfinished and finished pieces, and they're accepted into an exhibition. I got approved by the jury, and I wanted to share that concept with my members of the Columbus chapter. So that's the concept, the creative vision sculptures. And Lee suggested that we use, he calls them dead canes. And I'm not familiar with that term of the dead canes, which are the white canes that people aren't using anymore. But I suggested to Lee that I explore a couple other grant and exhibition opportunities through the Arts Possible Ohio and the Ohio Arts Council for us to come up with a concept to create and share at Possible some other college campuses at their resource centers for persons with disabilities in our Tri-County area, and thus also recruit some new members from those resource centers for disabilities who are students enrolled in college. There's a lot of college students who may have low vision and could use our support. And the college may also be open to recruiting some of our members into some of their continuing education opportunities. That's it.
Any questions for Tanya regarding her idea that she's proposing?
I mean, I mentioned canes because I see stacks of canes lying around which are no longer used. So that's why it's the dead canes. And the other thing is, Tanya's not familiar with the BNS. And if anyone has an ancient BNS upside down, it looks like somebody's teeth. So.
Dag, if I had kept mine, I could have given mine. I think I've given mine away. But yeah.
So there are some deadlines with the Ohio Arts Council coming up. I plan to meet with Megan in the upcoming week. My first creative vision sculpture is created from the life of a woman named Eva. It's called Eva's Vision Blues. And if that goes well and I get good feedback and support, then we can move forward with more research, planning, and programming and proposals as a group, because it's sort of a tough market right now with so much DEI issues going on. But to my knowledge, the state of Ohio is still going to continue with the DEI programs at the arts level.
Well, thank you, Tanya. Thank you for sharing that. If anybody has any questions, can they reach out to you, Tanya, if they have any questions regarding the art idea that you have?
Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
Janae, this is Katie. Someone just joined us on Zoom. The telephone number ends in 7707. Who is that, please?
Mark Brodigan.
Hello,
Thank you,
Mark.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark here. Yeah, I just got back in the room here, so I probably missed a whole bunch of important stuff here. Okay.
Thank you, Mark, for being here. So we have Mark
Okay.
came in for attendance purposes. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is news from ACB Ohio. Any updates from ACB Ohio? Is Michelle, are you here?
Okay, yeah. Here I am.
Hi.
Hi. Okay. Let me see. Where's my notes? Okay. Membership dues are due by February 15th. And of course, Columbus chapter is right on top of it. Lee is so organized. And we have almost everybody in, it looks like, but I see we have 57 that have already joined or renewed. So that's pretty much a lot of progress on that. So, but if you haven't paid your dues yet, please pay them by the 15th.
Yeah, we had 2 new members today, Michelle.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
That is great. That is great. And you can pay through Lee. You can go online and pay through our website, acbohio.org. You can call me at the office, 614-261-3561, and I'll get you set up. So any of those options.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted to talk about the multi-state auction. That'll be March 29th at 7. It's going to be really cool this year. This is the second year that we've done this. It's through, ACB National. And last year we had, I think, 5 states participating. This year we've got twice that. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff in it. If this is a live auction on Zoom, I was just putting together a list of things that Ohio is going to contribute. We've got breakfast baskets with, I think we have 2 or 3 of those with real Vermont maple syrup, coffee from Coffee That Helps, a couple kinds of pancake mixes, and just assorted breakfast treats. So we got the breakfast basket. We've got like a low vision entertainment basket with, I don't know, there's a fire stick, there's a dot, one of those Amazon dots, there's a Amazon gift card, what do you call, large print card, like playing cards. So we got your low vision entertainment basket. I think this sounds so cute. A tactile crochet wall hanging that somebody made up in Cleveland. That's so cute for spring. It's like an Easter bunny that's 3D pastel colors. So it's like a door or wall hanging. We've got a tactile painting from a Cleveland artist, a beautiful handcrafted wood, like keepsake box, homemade candy buckeyes, and that's just the Ohio stuff. And so the other states, have great stuff too. I was just looking at the list, but so that's March 29th at 7 through ACB Media. It's the multi-state auction. Don't miss it. And all the proceeds from what we sell and that will come back to Ohio, or it's not, we don't have to split it with national or anything. So it's a great fundraising opportunity for us. Let's see. Membership calls, second Thursday of the month at 7 on Zoom. And this Thursday, we're having like a feedback session. What do you think about ACB Ohio's programs? What do you like? What would you like to see? Let us know. Just looking, we want to hear from our members. What can we do to better ourselves? Voice Course Show is the first Wednesday of the month at 11. Scholarships. We've got scholarships available. The application deadline is March 31st. And we've updated the program so it doesn't, you can also use the funds for like trade school programs or different training programs, not just, higher ed, college, universities. So keep that in mind. DC, got our DC advocacy trip. That's mid-March, where we will be going to DC to advocate for our legislative imperatives. And this year, the focus areas are on digital accessibilities, like making websites, apps, other digital interfaces.
Michelle, can you speak up a little bit, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. The focus areas this year for the advocacy trip are digital accessibility, like websites, apps, and other digital interfaces, accessible medical equipment. So just got to make these legislators understand that, they need this equipment, needs non-visual features. So people who are blind or low vision can operate them independently and manage their own, health. Katie, what else? Well, I think that's all I've got. Any questions or what's that?
I said, is that everything?
That's it.
Okay. Katie, do you have anything to add? I don't know if she's still there. Is she muted?
She's there. She is muted.
Okay. All righty. If she has something to add, I'm sure she'll chime in. Okay. Thank you so much for that update from ACB Ohio. Now at this time, we will move on to old business. If there's any old issues or concerns that people want to talk about from last year. Any hands up, Lee? No. Any new business that anybody wants to discuss?
I do have a talk I'd like to suggest if there's nothing else.
I do have something I was going to ask. Angela had sent out a really nice email about some self-defense classes, and I didn't know if she wanted to. You don't have to, Angela, but I thought maybe you wanted to give more context to what you put out on the email list about the self-defense classes that you posted a couple days ago.
Yeah, I had a couple of friends who I was telling them that my first encounter with the Center for Disability Empowerment was about the self-defense class. And they were like, oh, where can we do that? So, excuse me. I've been like pursuing it and trying to find out who does this class, how we can go about doing it. And I made contact with a lady, I believe her name is Chris. And I did send out a email to the whole group. It's for women only, and it's going to be in March. I didn't know that I was going to have to talk about this today, so I don't know the specifics. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
But-
I just thought you should, say a little something.
Yeah.
If you want to get more information
Mhm.
and share it later, you can. But I thought
Okay.
since you put it out there, you can at least, give a little bit of clarity to it.
Yeah. So, ladies, if you're interested, look at your email. I just shared it with the whole group about 2 days ago, and you do have to register, and it's sometime in March. But if you're, interested in learning some self-defense maneuvers, please join. And they also take a donation. You don't have to pay for the class, but they take a donation and they decide on one group. I don't know what's going on with this microphone. I'm sorry. One group, and they donate all the proceeds that they get to the group. And I was thinking maybe ACBO can perhaps get in their line of sight and maybe they can donate to us. I'm going to talk to her about it, but that would be a good thing for the club in general. So yeah, please, if you're interested, please sign up and come out and learn some self-defense. You know what? I did ask her, was it, and men and women both go, and she said this is for the ladies. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you, Angela, for sharing.
Hey, Angela, Mary Lynn Pyfo here. Is this the one-touch self-defense? Okay. I just wondered because if it is, I hope they have a steady class in Ohio if you're talking to the people at One Touch. And at convention anyway, it was men and women. And their techniques are excellent, but you, of course, need to do it enough so it becomes second nature. If the group you talked to was not One Touch, I'd be very willing to reach out if I can find my notes to One Touch and see if they're in Ohio yet.
Yeah, here it is real quick. Women's Self-Defense Workshop on Sunday, March 23rd, 1 to 3:30 p.m. at Hammerhead Gym in Hilliard. There's no fee, but registration is required. A donation of any amount is yet to be named. Charitable nonprofit is all they ask. If you've done it before, get ready for a solid refresher. Otherwise, if it's your first time, have a blast. If you're interested, respond to the email. We'll get down there. Contact information is Christy Morris at 614-504-6487 or 614-361-3265. Website is www.morrispublicrelations.com, and her email address is kmorris, MORRIS, at morrispublicrelations.com.
And who read that for us?
That's Dave Brennan.
Thank you, Dave, so much for reading that. Appreciate it.
Drew.
So, I just want to add on to the self-defense thing. So Janae and I know a sensei that's been teaching, and they actually would love blind students, both men and women. They're here locally. He's been I think he's 11th degree now, but he's been a sensei probably for over or almost 50 years now. And it would be free as well. And his classes are consistent. So I may even suggest, if there's enough interest here, to actually bring him in as a speaker. Because when it comes to visually impaired, I don't believe in, oh, just ladies, you're welcome to come. Because men should learn in this day and age too how to defend themselves. In fact, you know, men are just subject to violent crime as anybody else would be. So he does not, you know, leave guys out. The other thing I just wanted to say, Lee, you had said, and we went off on the self-defense tangent, that you had a topic that you had an idea. So
Yeah, I was going to get back to that. Thank you,
We'll
Mr.
get
Andrews.
there. Julie Russell next.
So Julie speaking.
As for the self-defense, guys, I have my yellow belt in karate, and it's because I took it with my son. But let me tell you, somebody came into my home. I thought he wanted some information for his wife. He did not. And he tried to rape me. And it took me a long time to talk about it. But he didn't get what he wanted because I used some of these moves, and I got him where it hurt.
Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, you know, with the self-defense classes, the important thing is to get the knowledge to protect yourself, whether you're men or women. And I personally know some women are not comfortable doing physical things with a mixed group. So whether you're, you know, take whatever avenue you pursue, just make it worth your while and learn to protect yourself, men or women. So that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, just, you know, there's options. That's the whole point of it. There's options. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. Lee, you wanted to speak. I don't want you to lose your thought.
Well, this is another topic entirely. So
Okay. Is there any? I'll just check. Is there anybody else that want to say anything about the self-defense topic before we move on to what Lee wants to talk about? It's another topic. Anybody else have any other questions or comments? If not, we'll let Lee. Go
Okay,
ahead.
Mary Lynn Pfeiffer
Yes, ma'am.
recently was on TV that they also now have classes on what to do in mass shooting situations. And they said the typical thing people do does not work. They have classes on what to do to protect yourself if where you are becomes a mass shooting site. So that might be interesting too.
I think it is because we just had a mass shooting situation in New Albany, which is pretty much in our backyard recently. So it could happen anywhere. So that would be worth having somebody come in and talk to us about that and having a discussion about how we would need to protect ourselves if we are in a situation where we're somewhere and there's a mass shooting situation. That's worthwhile as well. Thank you so much, Mary Lynn. Okay, Mr. Tucker.
yeah, this is here where planning ahead would be a good idea if we want to eat somewhere in July and in December. So, I mean, typically on the last Saturday of July, we do something together. Last year, we did a picnic in Whetstone Park. Thank you, Mike Russell. And thank you for the volunteers who paid for the food from Cornerstone Deli. And also this December, of course, we met at the Rusty Bucket. As a comment, we don't have as much money as we had last year. So we might have to limit or might have to ask for a consideration in order for people to attend the dinner in December. But anyhow, what I want to suggest is that we put together a committee of 3 people to begin planning such a thing. And I want to just put that out on the floor. Are folks who would like to volunteer about planning for July and or planning for December?
And Lee, what is the purpose of July other than recreation and socialization and fun?
Well, as you were at the December Christmas party, if I recall correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and purpose is to have a good time and enjoy each other and talk and get fat. So,
And to network, basically, it's a chance to connect.
Well, I like to play games. I was a special ed teacher in my other sided life. I like to play things like 25 words or less and Family Feud. We could call it the chapter feud or something. Have a prize.
I said,
Lee.
talking about my speech today, 25 words or less.
All right, Dan.
Have you guys ever listened to 25 words or less? I have it in large captions.
well, I think he got up to 50 back at the convention. So,
So I like the idea of having a committee for that. And as a president, I am on always the ex officio member of all committees. So we just need 3 people. And of course,
I'll join the committee and maybe propose a few games to continue our networking among the members because I don't know a lot of people. And if I don't know a lot of people, I know there's somebody else that doesn't know a lot of people.
so we got Tanya as a volunteer out here. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, maybe I can come up with a game that helps us get to know each other a little better.
Something we can do maybe at our summer gathering, possibly.
Oh, yeah, it'd be nice if we have it outdoors or even if we have it indoors.
Need 2 other volunteers to help.
we hear from Angela Brown.
Angela Brown. Okay, Angela. Okay, so we've got 2. We need one more, 2 more. I have my own little auction over here. Anybody else want to come and help us plan a good time for July and for December of this year? Ed, you will help too?
Sure.
All right. Our wonderful secretary. So we have, goody.
Right.
Okay.
And in addition to that, I'm still the treasurer for a limited amount of time. I do provide the monetary type support for this kind of thing. So any collecting funds and stuff like that. So, guys don't need.
We could get a sponsor for a game. If we come up for a good game, maybe we can get a sponsor.
Okay. Well, we have to talk about that. So we'll have to gather the 4 of us and have Lee come to and have a meeting. So thank you guys for your willingness to help.
Yeah, what if we go up against a doctor's office or go up against the Ohio State Low Vision Clinic and go up against them with food, Family Feud, or Vision Feud?
This is good stuff. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys, for volunteering. The last thing on our agenda, we'd like to try to have a time where before we close out the meeting actually, let me see. Should we do that before? So any last thoughts or comments before we adjourn the meeting? Any thoughts from anybody? Any ideas?
This is the thing we term the member moment.
Member moment, yes. Any last thoughts from anybody?
Thanks. It's Erwin. Had an interesting time the other day, and it was coming back from my colonoscopy, which doesn't really matter for this part of it. But I actually had a ride with UServe in a Tesla, and that was actually quite fascinating. I had not ridden in a Tesla before, and Teslas, as you may know, tend to be all electric, basically. And what was so interesting is how much you hear of the cars and trucks around you. As we were coming back from Grant Hospital to my house. And you could, the Tesla was relatively quiet, but boy, you could hear the cars around you and the trucks around you and the other traffic. And it was really just fascinating. I think not that I'm going to buy one, but if I were going to get a car, that's certainly what I would look at.
Some of them do that one.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Teslas are very interesting. I've written in one as well, coming back from an appointment. They're interesting.
in some cities, Tesla or some sub-unit of it is now having self-driving cars compete with Uber. I don't think it's quite out yet, but it's within a year.
Okay.
We might be in that market. I may have seen that, but I can't promise that.
Any other nice comments or thoughts
Yeah,
for our member moment?
I have a comment. They're doing self-driving cars in San Francisco, and I can't remember the company. And they said they were coming to Miami next, and they're doing them for the public. In other words, they're running a cab.
Oh, here's the question I have. Thank you, Mike. Here's a question for those who got to test out the Glide last year. Anybody want to share any thoughts about that? Anybody that got to test out the Glide that's here?
Come glide with us, people. It's great. It's terrific. It makes you independent. I saw 2 people today that have not seen it yet. They're coming back in April. I don't know much more about it because I'm kind of out of it because I have a food show I'm dealing with. But I'm telling you, when they come back in April, you guys have to see it. It's got 2 cameras on it. It rolls in front of you. And it has like a suitcase handle, although one of the people wanted to change that, which I prefer to keep what it is. And it's awesome, awesome, awesome. You guys, he had to tell me to slow down. I mean, because I was so tickled. It goes around objects. If anybody wants the video for it, I have it on my phone. I can send it to you.
It was a very interesting experience to use the
Talks to you. It took the guy up to the counter.
Yep.
And I think did it find a seat for him? I don't remember in the video, but the guy said, go in or something like that. And it found the door. And then he said, go to counter, and it took him to the counter. And mine's going to come in September.
Exciting. Now,
Come glide with us.
So how much does it cost? Julie, how much does it cost again?
How much does it cost?
$2,000.
Okay, thank you.
For what it's worth,
It
I
comes
tested it.
loaded with it, like air conditioning and.
I tested it at convention in July, and it was very good then. I tested it again a few months back, much better. At that point, and I don't know how much better it is now, but it could detect steps, up and down curves, low hanging branches, all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Where in July it couldn't do that, but several months ago it could do all that too.
Wow. Okay. Any other last chance for member moments? Yes. Oh. He's coming to you with the mic.
Dan, you're our technology person. What did you think of the Glide?
It's Dan. We did a Glidance demo day back in October. We did it with the kids at the School for the Blind in the morning, and then we did it up at the Worthington Community Center in the afternoon. It was still in the prototype stages, and it gave me a sense of freedom of walking that I've never had before. And a lot of people will compare that to what it's like to use a dog guide. It doesn't pull you it doesn't pull you. It goes at your speed. But what it does is it steers you. So if you're walking through a lobby of some kind and there's, plants or chairs or whatever, it steers you around those. But it's not pulling you along. It's going at your speed. So I thought it was pretty fascinating. I guess now you can tell it to find the door, find the elevator, things like that, and it does that. So the changes that happen in AI technology are astounding, and they just multiply. I mean, you get a small change, and the next change is twice as big, and then you quadruple that in the next round. So I think the possibilities for a tool like this, and I will say it is a tool, right? you still have to have good mobility and orientation skills when you're using this thing. You got to know where you are and you got to know where you're going, right? Just like if you're using a cane or a dog, but it's another tool, just like a cane or a dog, right? That's my thoughts on it.
Thank you, Dan.
Mary Lynn again. Two things I'm waiting for on the Glide, and I know it'll come, is GPS, where you can tell it, I want to go to ACB company on such and such address, and it will locate it and get you to the door. One thing I did ask them in October, I think that's when we had the session. I said, if you're going to cross the street and there's a silent car close by that you don't hear, will it ignore your command to go forward like a guide dog? That does the, what's that called? Intelligent disobedience. If you tell the dog forward and there's a car right there moving, the dog won't go. And they said, not yet. We don't have that wide angle vision yet, but I'll bet it's coming.
That's a very good question.
Are we still on member moments?
Yes, we're taking one more. If you could be the last one, Tanya.
I have an idea for the Ohio State bookstore or the Ohio State store. I wonder if they would sponsor a sweatshirt race. Those are a lot of fun. We did it on Bearcat campus at University of Cincinnati. If they donate 10 sweatshirts and we have our team and they have their team of 5 and we race to see who can pull off all those sweatshirts first. It could be a lot of fun. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
What'd somebody say? Oh, okay. Okay. No.
Bad.
No. We're at that. Look at that. At that response, we're closing this down. Yes, you are. You're ruining the moment.
Have to sing the fight song now.
Yes. At this point, does somebody want to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye. Anybody?
Aye.
All right. Now we're going to have, thank you guys. The meeting's adjourned and we're going to have Mr. Dan Kelley come grace us with his wonderful presence.
All right. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you all for having me here today. It is an honor to do this. One of the things that I've been trying to do this year is get more involved in the blind advocacy groups. I got on the board for Ohio ACB starting in January, and I'm on a bunch of committees. So, sports and rec and scholarships and what else am I on? Tech and something else. I don't know. Maybe awards. Yeah. So, it's great to kind of get back into this. And what I want to talk to you today, Janae asked me to talk about kind of what's going on in blind education in the state of Ohio for blind and deafblind folks and low vision folks. I'm like, I think I could do that. How long do I have? All right. Okay. So anyway, before we start in with that though, I do want to offer a pre-workshop to any of you women that are going to take the self-defense class. Okay. Now y'all remember that movie Karate Kid, and during that training, Mr. Miyagi had that boy out there, whitewashing the fence, wax on, wax off. You remember that? I got a wooden fence around my yard, 6 feet tall and about 60 feet long. And if anybody wants to come over and stain that fence, it'll be a good training for you. And then I can say, I had all these women at my house, right? Oh, that's just a joke. I'm trying out to be a stand-up comedian later on in my life. All right. So, I want to talk about my work at the School for the Blind and statewide services for a little bit. I was a teacher at OSSB for 27 years or so, 28 maybe. I started my early field experience back in 1990. Margo was there. John was there. So I know, got all these connections. And this year for me is all about connections. So during this time, since I started working there and before, we had two agencies in Ohio. We had the School for the Blind and the School for the Deaf, right? OSSB, OSD, right? So a couple of years ago, heads got together and politicians or whoever and decided that, hey, why don't we make one agency with multiple divisions, right? And this is exactly what happened. Now there's one agency in the state of Ohio serving early learning, school age, and transition age kids that are blind, that are deaf, and that are deaf blind. That organization is now called ODBES, which stands for Ohio Deaf and Blind Education Services. Okay, that's the big umbrella. Underneath that umbrella, you have 4 divisions. Of course, you've got the School for the Blind, you've got the School for the Deaf, and they added 2 more divisions. One is the Early Learning Center, and that is for birth through preschool. And the other one is Statewide and Outreach Services, SSO. And that's where I started working this year. Okay. So SSO, I'm going to talk about statewide services and outreach a little bit and what that is. It used to just be really like a clinic and outreach team. There were 2 people working it. Now there's like 12. Okay. So it has grown a lot, and we're going to grow a little bit more. Now, what our job is to serve the state under 4 different pillars. Okay. So if you imagine, a building that has these columns that hold it up, that's going to be our 4 pillars. One pillar is district consultation. Now, I'm sorry, let me start over. The first pillar is community partnerships, professional community partnerships. And kind of some examples of that is when we can collaborate with agencies that are outside of ODBES to make things happen. Like, I'll give you an example. We worked with Clovernook to grow the Braille Challenge this year. You guys familiar with the Braille Challenge? Okay. So we've always had one. This is the 25th anniversary of the Braille Challenge. It's put on by the Braille Institute out of California. And this is the 25th year of it. And Ohio has been involved in it for most of that time. I don't know exactly how long, but we've always had one Braille Challenge hosted by Clovernook, and that's down in Cincinnati, Ohio. We were losing a lot of kids because Cincinnati is too far to get there and back in one day, right? So everybody up in Northeast and Northwest Ohio, we just can't do it. So this year, we're having another regional Braille Challenge in Stark County in Canton at the Stark County ESC, and that's going to be March 5th. And we have, I think, 13 kids signed up for that. We have about 40 or 42 total signed up for the whole state. So, the kids are only allowed to compete in one. Their results will count for the whole state. And if they finish high enough, they'll have the opportunity to go compete nationally in California this summer in June. All right. It is the only academic competition for Braille users that exists. Okay. And it's great. There's 4 categories that they go in and test on. And reading comprehension is one of them. Proofreading, where they have to find the errors and say what those are. Speed and accuracy is another one. So they're listening to dictation and transcribing that into Braille. And the other one for the older kids is reading charts and graphs, which you all know that when you're using Braille, we don't get enough of that, right? We don't get enough of exposure to tactile graphics, and the Braille Challenge has tried to alleviate that a little bit by making that part of the competition. The younger kids, they're doing like a spelling thing where they're listening to sentences and spelling or using the right contractions, like for the word there or here or whatever, making sure we're able to capitalize on that and teaching and learning good Braille, right? So that's community partnerships. The next one is district consultations. So a school district, in like Meigs County, Ohio, can call us up and say, hey, we got a low vision or a blind student or a deaf-blind student. We need you to help us out. How can we best serve this student in our district? Of course, OSSB is always an option for kids to go to, but we see more and more the kids are staying home in their district, going back and forth to school every day, just like their siblings and their friends. So we'll send a team of folks out there. Might be a TVI. We have 3 TVIs on staff. 2 of those TVIs are dual certified as comms, as orientation mobility teachers as well. We have an educational audiologist on our team. So if there's some hearing issues, we do that. All right. So we go out there, we do an evaluation to see what the student needs. We offer staff support where we do training in terms of, like, I might go out and show them how to use an iPad with VoiceOver or Chromebook with Chromebox, or whatever magnification options they might need if it's that. We focus on the ECC, the expanded core curriculum. There's 9 areas there, and we bring that into our team delivery, our instruction, when we go out and visit those, because ECC is very important. If you think about the Coswell-Macy Act that's out, it's about trying to make that become a law where kids who are blind and visually impaired get that. It's required right now. It's not required, but it needs to be. A kid needs to learn how to make a sandwich, right? Kid needs to learn how to take care of himself. Academics is one piece of the puzzle for success. When you want success for life, that's just one piece. You got to know how to take care of yourself, be organized, be clean, be presentable. And the ECC takes care of that, right? Okay. Another part that we do is family support. So we offer workshops to families. We have it's called Family University, and that meets once a month on Zoom. And if anybody's interested in that, we're talking about the IEP and going through the book right now about your rights and responsibilities as a parent, as a student, all that kind of stuff, and being part of that IEP team. And then in June, we're going to do a conference, and I am looking for panelists this year. So I'm looking at this room of folks, and I'm looking for families where you're either blind, members who are either blind or deafblind or low vision, parents, siblings, whatever. I want that family, I want that family thing going on, so that way the audience of the conference can interact and get some real information about how we do things, right? Okay, so community, family, district, and student evaluation is the last one in direct service. So right now I've got 4 kids on my caseload, out in different schools in Central Ohio that I go see once a week, and we work on technology. So some of it's technology, some of it's Braille, some of it's O&M, what we do on the blind side. On the deaf and hard of hearing side, there's some good things going on. They offer online ASL instruction to students and adults. They also, they're doing interactive ASL books. So instead of having just the print there, these books are in ASL and sign language. So it's really good because we're all about increasing literacy, whatever we do, whether it's using technology, whether it's using Braille, using ASL, it's about increasing that literacy rate and getting that literacy rate, raised up a little bit. How does it tie into workforce readiness? How does it tie into portrait of a graduate, right? These are some major things that are going on in Ohio. How does it tie into the science of reading and addressing all of those things? Because it's just as important for our kids to have a piece of that pie as it is for any other kid in the state, right? Yeah. So that's why, I love the position that I'm in now. I can now say that Ohio is my classroom, and every day is different for me. I mean, one day I'm working in the office, the next day I'm hitting 2 or 3 different schools and working with kids or working with staff at these schools. Another day might be sitting down with, district reps and planning an event like the Glidance Day or the Braille Challenge. So we're doing a lot of great things, and I'm very pleased to be part of that, and making some big changes. The governor's budget is coming out, and he is still supporting a disability inclusion state. We're hearing all this stuff on social media, and it's very easy to react to that and say, oh my God, all this diversity and equity and inclusion stuff is going to get shut down, and that's going to affect, OOD. It's going to affect, folks like Goodwill. It's going to affect Medicaid. It's all this stuff that affect could have effect on our kids. And I'm not going to have a knee jerk reaction to it. There's always processes in place. Legislatures, folks are fighting back against this stuff. The governor's keeping it in his budget that we are going to keep doing what we're doing with folks who have all kinds of disabilities. I'm very glad to be living in a state where that's happening. Now, I don't want to talk too long. I do want to take some questions, but I brought a device with me. I don't know that you've ever seen it. It's a tablet. That's your first clue. Anybody got any guesses? It's a tablet. It's an iPad with voiceover. Anybody ever seen that before? I'm just kidding. It's not an iPad. All right. I brought a Monarch with me. If anybody wants to get their hands on that. A big thing right now in Braille is multi-line Braille displays. I have a Cadence and I have a Monarch. So this is being very strongly supported at statewide. It's being supported at the School for the Blind, that kids have this access. A multi-line Braille display is going to give you real-time access to text, and it'll give you real-time access to tactile graphics. It gives you real-time access to, math and technical notation, where maybe you want to graph an equation and see what that feels like, or you want to see what a pie chart feels like, or whatever. That is going to be available on these devices. I brought the Monarch with me. The Cadence, one of my displays got short, and I have to get it repaired on Monday, so I didn't bring that with me. The Monarch is a self-contained unit. It has a big flat surface that has 10 lines of Braille on it. I think it's 32 characters wide. I just got mine on Thursday, so I'm still learning about it. It works off of HumanWare's Keysoft. So if you're familiar with the Braille note and how to navigate those menus, then you're ready to get on board and start using the Monarch, because they use that same interface, the same menu structure to access all these things. So I do want to have you guys have an opportunity. The only thing that I ask you do, make sure you have the cleanest hands in the world. All right, this thing is $17,000, and I don't want to get none of Mike Russell's potato chips down in this display. I mean, I love you, Mike. I love those chips.
So if you got some hand sanitizer, use it.
yeah. So, yeah. So, but are there any questions about anything that I've talked about with SSO or statewide services?
I have a question, Dan.
Okay, Janae, and then we'll pass the mic around.
So I have a question. So, in the work that you all are starting with this collaboration, I remember kind of hearing about this when, now that you're saying it, when me and Katie went to the School for the Blind, I think at the beginning of last year around this time, they started talking about this collaboration, and I didn't quite get the gist. I remember the 4 pillars. When you started saying it, it came back to me. But my question always is, what do you know if anything is happening for those who are adults who become blind later in life or during their working age years and may need some of this same kind of thing that we're providing for our young folks?
Well, there's really not much we're doing with adults outside of kids that are transitioning, between high school and college or high school and work.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're an adult, you go into the OOD program, and OOD is, they're all about either going to work, or that's my timer, going to work, or they have the Independent Living Older Blind program now, the ILOB. And I've done a lot of work with OOD and as a technology consultant. And, so that's anybody that wants to, use this program to increase their independence at home, right? Mm-hmm. So whether it's, getting your kitchen set up in a way so it's more user-friendly, either by marking up your stove or your microwave, mm-hmm. Doing some high color contrast type stuff in there. I've done a lot of technology work with folks for communication. So those programs do exist, and I can tell you right now that that once you get in the program, you're going to get, they don't spend as much money on ILOB as they do the vocational side, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just kind of the reality of what it is right now. I don't know what they're doing, if they're trying to increase that or what's happening. I'm not, mm-hmm. I don't know what's going on there, but I have seen people get equipment. I have
Mhm.
seen people get more so. I've seen people get training more
Mhm.
so than equipment. Kind of a general rule of thumb is if they don't need equipment, I go out and do an evaluation, and then they'll get at least 5 hours of training, right? After that. So, and you can pack a lot into 5 hours of training. And what I try to do is when I do my training, it's like, all right, what are ways that we can record this so that you can go back and access it once I'm gone?
Mhm.
And that might just be using voice memos. It might be using, I've got some folks that are still using cassette recorders, right? You know, so you can still get that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, you know, whatever way that makes it easier for them. You know, I've got one lady right now learning how to type. She doesn't know the keyboard. So we went through what is each finger responsible for. And we made lessons on Talk and Typer that just covers what's the pinky do? What's the ring finger do? Right. And that's one way she can practice that. And then she's got a file on her Victor stream where we recorded this stuff. So, you know, I try to leave people with tools that's going to, you know, that's going to help them teach themselves and learn how to find resources once I'm not there, because that's empowerment. That's what we want to do.
And I was only asking that question because I talk a lot with Michelle at the office, and she always gets calls with people of various ages in the adult space, you know, between that working age of 22 and 64 before you hit the age where you can get, you know, senior care, so to speak. And folks are always looking for, how do I make the transition and the adjustment, and where do I go to? And so always want to know what's out there so that there can be something that we can even tell people about who, when they're an adult and they've gone blind.
Well, another thing too is, you know, I wouldn't leave I Can Connect out of the mix. You know, a lot of blind folks, including myself, you know, have developed hearing loss as we get older.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know,
Yep, me too.
I Can Connect will, you know, if you have vision loss and hearing loss, there's also a financial component tied to it, which I don't know what that is. But you're eligible for equipment for distance communication, and that could be an iPhone with a Braille display, or a computer with a Braille display, or just a computer, or just an iPhone. So, you know, I wouldn't leave them out of the mix either. You know, I'd look at OOD, I would look at I Can Connect, and I would look at our own community, right? You know, because we help each other.
Okay, just thought I would ask.
Yep,
Thank you,
another
Dan.
question down here somewhere.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Kelley. I was just curious, in the at the blind school now, or I guess all around Ohio, I suppose, is Braille now becoming like Braille and print is now the mentality, like especially if you're low vision and kind of borderline? Because it used to be the reversal. It was Braille took a back seat for a long time. And how do kids do socially now with if they go to a regular public school and not the blind school? Like, I guess have sighted, I guess how to call it, you know, with the kids they go to school with who aren't visually impaired, are they any different now? Like, are they, I guess, like, it's not like you're kind of in the corner, you have everything you need, you can get your education, but socially you're still an outcast, kind of, or they take care of you and they're maybe nice, but they're not maybe necessarily your friend.
Yeah, I think I understand all your question. It's what is the status of Braille now? So when you look at it, you know, you're always looking, Braille's always going to be considered when somebody's vision impacts their educational performance, right? We used to say if they're 2200 or worse, or if they have that, you know, less than 15 degrees, we need to look at Braille. But now is their vision impacting their educational performance? So, you know, they could have 2400, they could have 2080. You know, the acuity doesn't mean as much anymore, you know, especially with CVI, you know, cortical visual impairment, where it's a processing problem and not an acuity problem, right? So Braille should always be considered in all those cases, and it is more relevant now than it ever has been because of technology, right? Now there's a learning curve you have to get past, you know, learning how to use this equipment and things like that, but it doesn't stand out like it used to. It's not as much of a stigma as what it used to be. You don't have volumes and volumes of books that you're lugging around. You're not lugging around a Perkins Braille writer. And I'm not saying a Perkins Braille writer is not relevant, because it still is. You know, if I'm going to do math, I'm going to do it on a Perkins, right? Yeah, right. And that's definitely not off the table. But when you have a little 20 cell Braille display and you're able to pair that with another device, or you're able to dump books onto it or whatever, you've got access to all kinds of Braille, you know, and that's a hook for a lot of kids. You know, I had a kid, you know, I was like, man, you could text your girlfriend and nobody's going to know what you're saying except you and her. Right. And he loved that. He loved that, you know, and, you know, some kids, it's like, okay, you know, I had to, you know, I had a kid last year that, you know, he was really interested in music AI, you know, like Sunos and udio.com and things like that, where you can type in some prompts and it'll make a song, you know, like it'll say, all right, I want Hang On Sloopy, but I want it sung in the style of the Beatles, and it'll do it, right? It'll do it. So that was his hook. That was his hook to get him more involved in using his screen reader and using his Braille display. So part of it is, you know, with what we do as teachers and how we get kids to invest, because teaching is an investment, right? You're investing in that kid, and you're trying to get that kid to invest in the tools that's going to best help them, you know, as they go through school and as they get ready for work or get ready for college, right? And so the tools are changing, and that's one thing that I've embraced about this job in this field, is that there is constant change, and that you embrace the change or you get left behind, right? That's what it comes down to. But now Braille is not going away. And more kids are using Braille. I have more problems with kids that have low vision using magnification and bigger screens, because they're using these little Chromebooks with 9-inch screens on them, and nobody can see those, right? I mean, even if you got 20/20 vision, you're squinting and going cross-eyed looking at the thing, right? So, you know, I say, hey, this kid, you know, a 17-inch screen would really help. Now he's got this big old clunky, you know, thing that he's got to get out of his book bag, and everybody's like, oh God, look at that, you know. But most people have a hook, you know, and it's, as a teacher, finding that hook and getting them to make that investment, and then they start exploring it on their own, and then the more they see that it benefits them, the more they bring it out. And it's really typical. It still is typical for people not to want to use anything that's different from what their friends are using. And as far as socialization goes, I'm like, let kids be kids. You know, when I go out there through schools, I'm like, let that kid get out on the playground and get dirty like the other kids, you know? I mean, you know, don't, you know, I said, you know, and I tell kids, I'm like, when you go out to recess and you want to make friends, I said, you tell me, do you think your friends are standing around talking to the adults like you're doing, or are they talking to other kids? You know? So it's like, you've got to make that investment, and you got to make that connection, and not rely on somebody else to make it for you, you know? And some kids do, some kids don't, you know, but it's just kids being kids. Another question. What's that, Mary?
Oh, sorry. Is sports and recreation and all that training at all?
Yeah, you know, one thing we're going to do with sports and rec is, you know, it's kind of a different thing. You know, we're looking at maybe some collaboration opportunities with that committee, with statewide. Since I'm on that committee, I can, you know, kind of oversee that a little bit. But we're looking at doing a rec roundtable, right? So that's where we have people come in and talk about their sports programs and what they do. Like, I'm going to have Envision come in to our next committee, Envision Sports out of Pennsylvania. And they're going to talk about what they do, and they cover the kind of the whole Midwest, and then we're going to post it up on the website. And I don't know how that's going to happen yet, but we're having a technology meeting on Monday night, so we're going to talk about that. So, but I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me ramble on today. You know, and I really am proud to be doing what I'm doing and making connections, and you know, I feel good about getting back into ACB and being involved with what we're doing. And, you know, I just want to be part of the instrument and be part of the change and be part of, you know, moving us forward. That's what helps me sleep at night. Everybody that knows me knows I'm a workaholic, good or bad. And So I really do like being a part of all this and making all these connections. Remember, I need panelists in June. All right. So
What are the dates in June?
I think it's June 7th.
Okay.
June
We
7th.
have a hand raised, Mr. Kelley.
We have a hand in Zoom.
Oh, go ahead. Who is it?
Hi, I heard you make a comment that some of the federal funding freezing and this DEI movement against support could potentially affect OOD, but you said it would not or it could not because the state of Ohio is not leaning that way. Could you make a few more comments about that?
Well, that's about all I know right now. Tanya, right?
Tanya.
Sorry. I just saw an email that came in the other day, and I just looked at the subject that, and it said that we are going to continue to be a disability inclusion state. That's about all I can tell you right now.
Now, what about the American Disabilities Act?
If it's established under federal law, then it is not in danger.
Yeah,
And
not in danger.
That's where the grants from OOD are going through. They're already established under federal law.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to me for leadership to say there's not going to be any DEI when the American Disabilities Act is all about that. So we should just consider that a contradiction, huh?
Well, actually, the disability, let's see, trying to get this straight in my mind because it goes back to a executive order that was made by President, not coming up with anyhow, the old guy from Texas back around when the Civil Rights Act went through, President Johnson.
Yeah.
There was an executive order that was put through then, which the DEI initiatives were based on. And that is what Donald Trump reversed, is that executive order. So if it's otherwise established in law already, then it is not going away.
Yeah. I would, until we hear anything further, kind of just leave it there for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again, Dan. And anybody else that have a question? Thanks, Dan. Thank you so much, Dan.
Actually, I have one, please, Janae.
Would you
and actually, Kathy has one. So I think she raised her hand before I spoke up. Go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, this is Kathy Withman. I just wanted to say how much I enjoyed this meeting. We had a wonderful, wonderful speaker, and we had that member moments in the first part of the meeting, which was wonderful to hear all the different voices and opinions. I thought this was a great, great meeting. Good job, Janae.
Thank you, Kathy.
That's it.
All right. Now I want to start the Monarch with Erwin. He's got his hands on it right now, checking it out.
And he's going to pass it on around.
And Kathy, hey, thank you for saying that. We have the most attendance we've had maybe since early spring last year. I have to go actually count how many we have here, but it's a lot.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
No.
He's trying to give me money and I'm not wanting it.
All right. Everybody else took it. You take it too. By the way, this is a massive device. Oh my gosh. It's like the size of a 17-inch laptop, but I suspect it weighs a lot more.
This is Monica. Would it be all right if I ask my question, please?
Yeah, go for it.
Yes, ma'am, Monica.
Mr. Kelley, I'm from the South. I am moving to Ohio in 3 weeks, so I'm coming from a very different perspective. When I was coming up in school, there was an extremely hard push for mainstream everything. I'm curious. I'm not trying to challenge. I would like to understand in context. Has it been decided that it is better now for education at the School for the Blind? Have we reversed ourselves?
Well, that's a loaded question.
I'm sorry.
No, no.
I just want to understand.
And I think it depends. I think it depends on the individual, you know, because I went to school, I grew up in the South as well. Oh, thanks. Drew's lifting my wallet. Give it back to me. No, I'm getting rid of these pants because earlier today my phone fell out of my pocket and now my wallet just fell out of my pocket. But I grew up in Alabama and I went to the Alabama School for the Blind, and y'all probably can't tell because y'all have the accents. I do not. But anyway, so when I was going to school, that was the better way to go to blind schools, especially down there. I tried going to public school. We just didn't have the resources available. And I think today I'm seeing a lot more kids that are blind, that are deaf, where that's the only disability that they have, going to their home schools because they have, you know, there's a wider array of tools now and ways to get resources. There's more opportunities for professional development for our teachers to get the training that they need to teach those tools. So, you know, I think they're doing that. And I think we're seeing kind of a mix of kids going to school for the blind that have multiple disabilities, you know, outside of blindness, right? I mean, whether that be a cognitive disability, a hearing disability, or a physical disability, because, you know, the services are there that can better adequately meet those needs. And it's always a team decision. You know, I have not seen anything, you know, come down from DEW that says, hey, that kid's blind, he needs to go to the blind school, or, you know, he needs to go to his public school or whatever. So I think, you know, right now we're in this age of we're making this family and IEP team decision about where best placement for the kid to go to school. It's called a least restrictive environment.
You have just made me very happy because what you're saying is it's the right solution for an individual child. I wasn't sure when we were doing the hard push for mainstream that it was for everybody because I saw results vary so much. And so I've been trying to just put all that together in my head and sort it through.
That's a great question. But like I said, it's a loaded one, you know, depending on how you look at it. But you know, I'm seeing a good mix of everything now in terms of residential versus public schools.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica, for that question. That was a very good question.
No more questions in the room here? And Kathy, do you have something you wish to say?
No, I don't know how to undo my arrow.
Oh, Sean, if Sean were here,
Somebody's supposed to
lower the hand.
I know, but I have a old phone.
Oh,
Star 9 or something, or star 6.
I have it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Lee. I was trying to figure out how to lower her hand. I hadn't figured it out yet.
Well, that makes two of us. Never mind. Maybe we'll learn it by next time. Or maybe not.
It just means that I have a list of questions for Sean. So if I do this again, I'll be a little better prepared. I apologize, Kathy. I'm working on it.
And you can always ask me too as well, Monica, if you have questions too about Zoom.
Janae, I'm not sure if you use the same JAWS scripts that Sean and I have. That's the only reason I said I should ask him because it has hotkeys to lower hands.
Oh, see, I
respect your leadership.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to cut you out of that, I promise.
If there's nothing else, I'm going to close the recording and end the meeting.
It's about the size.